All right, I want to tell you about two things. One, I find it fascinating or funny, and I don't mean to be snarky, though it's going to be snarky, that it's almost as if during Advent all of the rules against Catholics are kind of thrown out the window. And here's what I mean. Oftentimes, and remember, I'm someone who hears people coming in through the program in which I lead to become Catholic. I kind of hear both the surface level disputes against Catholicism, but also much more intellectual or theological reasons as well. But the kind of surface level is like they walk into the cathedral and they say, hey, they see on the crucifix, they see Jesus hanging on the cross, depicted in these statues, and they say, hey, Jesus isn't on the cross anymore. And yet, here we are during Advent, and what do? They put baby Jesus in the manger all throughout their house. And so it could be a snarky thing, or I don't know, just to say, Jesus isn't in the manger anymore. But obviously, both of those things, both Jesus on the cross and Jesus in the manger, we all recognize he's neither in the cross or in the manger or on the cross anymore. But these things are visual aids. They are windows into heaven. They help us see things that are good, true, and beautiful, and to meditate and contemplate on them. So the same reason you have Jesus in baby form in a manger in your house, and Jesus on the cross at a Catholic church. Same reasons. A second little snarky thing is it's also funny to me that Mary, do not put any statues of Mary up. Do not. I can't believe you would ever have a statue of Mary up. And then Advent trickles along, and they set up their nativity scene, and they put statues of Mary all throughout their house. And so again, why do you put statues of Mary all throughout the house, and Joseph and the sheep and the ox and whatever? Well, because these things lead our imagination. They lead our spiritual life toward heavenly realities. And toward what is actually true, and so they're not stealing our worship. When you set up your Mary statue in the nativity set, you aren't worshiping the statue and you aren't worshiping Mary. Rather, both the statue and Mary herself are leading us toward truer and purer and more holistic, life-altering worship of God. And so the nativity set and the scene of the manger, it shows us the transcendence and the humility of Jesus' incarnation, right? Okay, all right. Second, much longer, this is actually the reason. I just felt like I needed to get that off my chest, so thank you for listening. Second, tomorrow, which is December the 12th, we celebrate, which is, I don't know the technical term. It's a big deal in the Americas, in North America, the feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe. Let me tell you this unbelievable story. Forgive me if I get bits and pieces of this wrong. Go look it up. Find a video on YouTube or search for it on Google. Our Lady of Guadalupe. Okay, so Juan Diego, that's the first guy. We actually just celebrated his memorial a few days ago. He's just a man, a normal old dude, and he was out walking, and Mary appeared to him. Now, there's all sorts of these occurrences. They're called Marian apparitions. As a former Protestant, I had never heard of these things. They're unbelievable. Maybe most notably is the most traveled to place in the world is called Our Lady of Lourdes. It is a huge Catholic basilica where Mary appeared, and this is a separate situation. But this has happened multiple times over. So she's appeared. So she appears to Juan Diego, and she says, Juan Diego, tell the bishop, and this is in the year 1531, tell the bishop that I want a church built here after me. Okay, so at the time, Mexico was, and this is happening in Mexico, at the time, Mexico was a pagan place. It was full of Aztecs, indigenous people, and they sacrificed children most horrendously and most notably to appease the gods, lowercase g. And so they were not Catholic. Mary appears to Juan Diego, who was a Catholic. There were obviously some, and there was a Catholic bishop missionary there. And the bishop gets the word from Juan Diego, doesn't believe him, and so this thing happens again. She appears to him again, says the same thing to him. Keep in mind, this is in December, which is why we celebrate the day in December. appears to him. He goes and tells the bishop. He doesn't believe and says, if this is true, tell Mary, if she actually speaks to you, tell Mary to give me a sign. And so he goes back and he finds at his house, this is where you have to go fact check me here. He finds a bunch of roses. It's December. Roses aren't growing in December. And he brings these roses back. This is the sign from Mary. And so he carries in his cloak, or what is called a tilma. This thing is made of cactus leaf or cacti. He brings this back, and he, think of it as his folded up cloak. And he unfolds the cloak to dump out the roses as the proof that Mary actually is speaking. This is the sign from Mary. And not only does the bishop see the roses, but on his tilma, on his cloak, is an imprinted image of Mary. And so this is probably the most famous Catholic image of Mary in definitely in the U.S., possibly in the world. And so here it is. This is Our Lady of Guadalupe. You maybe seen this before. You can go look this up. So this is imprinted. It's not painted on. Like, there's all sorts of scientific study that has searched. Like, here's a fun fact: the eyeballs of Mary in this were examined like with a close-up magnifying glass, and what they see is the eyeballs actually reflect the image of a man who they come to understand to be Juan Diego. Okay, so this is her very image that's imprinted into this tilma. So a few more crazy things. The tilma, Juan Diego was a poor man. This was a cacti cloak. This thing should disintegrate or just, become shreds within 30, 40, 50 years. We are now 500 years removed from this situation. This tilma is hanging up in the basilica that the bishop went on to build for Mary, and it's still hanging up. It's almost as if it's a day old, and the image is unscathed. Interesting fact: 100 years ago, someone tried to blow up the image. Someone tried to burn down the basilica. They brought in flower vases. You can go read about this, and they put a bomb to appear to be, venerating Mary, bringing her a gift of flowers. But inside those flowers was a bomb. It blew up. The wall was covered in smoke and fire. The wall essentially was destroyed, and the image, the tilma, was literally unscathed. I mean, think about what I'm saying here, okay? And so this is Our Lady of Guadalupe. Here's the most fascinating part about this. Again, these are indigenous Aztec pagan child sacrificing worshipers. Within one generation, 15 years, Mexico goes from that type of religious environment to 8 to 9 million people are converted and become Catholic. And so Catholicism is now the dominant religion of Mexico, and Hispanic peoples really at large. And it really all stems. So for our Hispanic brothers and sisters, I've been told this is like, outside of Christmas and Easter, this is like the biggest holiday that they celebrate, and we're almost at the 500-year anniversary of it, because this transformed an entire country, and we're now 500 years later, and it's still relevant and true today. So Our Lady of Guadalupe, Mary appears to a boy, transforms a country, and you can go Google, and you can actually go visit the basilica that's still hanging up on the wall. You can see what the image looks like. You can read the story. It is absolutely crazy. So tomorrow we celebrate this feast day, and I hope that it at least begs a little bit of curiosity for you.